Welcome to the Coach's Corner podcast, where we interview and you'll hear directly from successful coaches, learning about their journey as well as how they help their clients through their transformational process. Now, if you are a coach or an individual, this podcast will be valuable, providing you with new methodologies, new insights to empower yourself as well as to empower other people. Or perhaps you're a coach or an individual in search of motivation or inspiration. If that's the case, this podcast is perfect for you and you are in the right place. Now remember to subscribe to our channel. If this has helped you, I would love for you to leave a positive review, a positive comment, letting us know that you enjoyed this podcast. Now without further ado, let's dive straight into the show. Jazz, thanks so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
Good morning, Dwayne. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. Everybody, I just want to do a quick intro. I'm definitely not going to take your spotlight. I want you to really tell everybody what you do. But for those of you that are just tuning in, I want to let you know Jazz has an incredible story. So Jazz was misdiagnosed with mental illness, and a lot of people, when they reach that point in their life, it's really shattering. It's earth shattering because they're put in a place where it's a dark place, right? And they don't know how to transition. But you've transitioned through that, and you've already, started a business, a coaching business to help people with mental wellness, which is quite incredible. So at the end of this, I want people to be inspired. I want them to know that no matter what state you're in, it doesn't matter. You can start a coaching business, and your transformation helps and inspires other people.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, Jazz, tell us a little bit about Mindfulness University. Tell us what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. So, Mindfulness University essentially developed throughout my 10-year history, so to speak, with mental illness. And the reason why I came up with Mindfulness University is that, Dwayne, a lot of the tools that we have, we've acquired over the years. Tools that make us feel better, allow us to be ourselves, so to speak. Mindfulness University is allowing you to either acquire new tools or sharpen your tools, existing tools, but also help you build that toolbox, right? So when you're going through a tough time, you can open up the toolbox and be like, which tool do I need to fix this problem or this current conflict that you have happening in life? So the whole practice of mindfulness is what I've acquired over the 10 years and something that helped me along the way. And so that's why I decided, especially during the pandemic, you and I can both attest to this, that it has really moved forward the importance of mental well-being, particularly in the area of wellness, so to speak.
Yes. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's incredible. Can you tell us, and those of you that are watching, if this is really resonating with you throughout it, please smash the heart button and smash the like button. Let us know that you're watching this and you're actually enjoying this. So Jazz, can you take us back, before Mindfulness University, everybody has a backstory. Everybody has a unique story. What's your story all about?
Yeah, definitely. So my story started in 2013 of December. And what happened was that I was going through a tough period in my life at that time. And I felt like, I was in a toxic relationship at that time. And that toxicity really led to, it was essentially a catalyst that led to me seeking help. Because I realized over the years, I was essentially going through something, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was. Right. High school, I wasn't, treated the best, so to speak, but, you learn and grow from that. In university, we try finding your place. But I couldn't at that time because of circumstances. I remember, it was right after exams and I literally closed the blinds and I sat in the dark for a little week. I still managed to brush my teeth. I ate once a day. And, get out of bed, so to speak. But I just stayed in my room in the dark because I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to, do anything, literally.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
after that, I realized that I needed to seek help, and that's where I kind of picked myself up. Um, it goes back to when Bruce Wayne was talking to Albert, his brother, right? Like, why do we
Yeah.
fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves up. And
Yes.
I
Yes.
remember that quote when I was in high school and I watched that movie. And I said, we fall so we can learn to pick ourselves up. That's when I went to my family doctor, who I've known for years. And, him and I were talking. I said, this is what's happening. I think I have something. I don't know what it is. I need help. And because of that, I went to go see a specialist. Um, from the specialist piece, this is where, in Ontario, right? It's where I'm situated in.
Yeah.
It took me about 3 to 4
And
months.
for those that don't know, or Ontario is in Canada. It's a province. So just like in this, because I know there's a lot of people here around the world.
Right,
And
right.
majority of the states. So the states, you have you have New York, then you have Florida.
Oh,
In
wow,
Canada,
worldwide. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So in Canada, Ontario is like a state within. Think of it as a state within Canada. So for those of people that don't know,
definitely. Yeah, it's very similar, right?
yeah,
And the thing about our healthcare system is that in order for you to see a specialist, you have to go through a referral from your family doctor. And sure, it's free healthcare, it's covered, universal healthcare rather, but
mhm,
it takes a few months essentially. And so once I got that diagnosis of my mental illness, I was put on medication. And from medication, this is where I started figuring out that okay, things are working, things are getting better. But along the journey, there were a lot of dark days that started. That was
wow,
just the beginning of my journey. And I don't want to make this somber or anything, but along the way, when you go through your dark times, that's when I realized I need to fight back. And so I was
yeah,
misdiagnosed with an illness. I got, 2 to 3 more, I guess you could say, just assessments, so to speak, just like,
yeah,
just to see what it was. And, you can't blame anyone, because the thing about mental illness is that it's very hard to diagnose because it's on a spectrum, right?
okay,
And
okay,
and you go through trial and error, and then you figure out, what works and what doesn't work. And that's where I almost, sorry, it's a little hard. I
yeah, yeah,
almost I thank God that I'm alive, because
wow,
three
wow,
times three times that
wow,
I was very close to
yeah,
not being alive anymore, essentially.
wow,
But I pulled myself up.
yeah,
And because I pulled myself up was because I got the tools necessary to um, to essentially fight back. And
yeah,
when I fought back, I literally kicked the curb, medicine to the curb. Right. I'm not saying don't kick up medicine to the curb. Work with
yeah,
your your health specialist, your medical specialist on that.
yeah,
But that's where I decided to be like, I'm going to fight this back, because when you're diagnosed with something, you start living, breathing that profile, that persona. And I said to
yes,
myself, I'm not going to do that anymore.
wow,
I want to be back to when I was younger, the fun, jolly jazz, the one that everyone knows. And I said to myself, I can't see anyone hurt anymore, right? No matter what I do, I want to make sure that the impact I make is going to be a difference in people's lives, and create that network effect, so to speak. And so
mhm, mhm.
from there, I acquired the tools to fight back. And honestly, life's been good ever since. And, I don't look back anymore.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. That's incredible. And like hats off to you for sharing such a like empowering story as well.
Thank you.
Because I mean like right now, a lot of us have stories, right? But the flip side is a lot of us don't want to share because we're intimidated or we feel we're not comfortable with our story,
Right, right.
right? And being comfortable with your story is so important because that it actually empowers other people,
It does.
right?
It does. Yeah,
Empowers other people. People are able to, be a bird that now has wings,
exactly. Because
right?
when you lead by example,
Yes.
right? And then, as you mentioned, is that, once you begin to fly, you teach others how to fly as well. You become free.
Yes, exactly. So like now, like, can you tell us like how did you transition into Mindfulness University? Like how did this all become a thing? So you're misdiagnosed. Um, you basically threw the pills to the curb. You're like, I'm going to change my life. I really want to push through. Now, from that time period till when you decided to start Mindfulness University, what was happening in between that time?
Ooh, those that was the the journey, the process,
Okay.
and 100% now I'll look back. I love that process. I love that journey. You
Yeah.
know, along those times is that you're in a situation where you don't feel like getting out of bed, right?
Hmm.
Um, you're having conflicted thoughts within your mind saying that let's don't go and do this, let's don't do that. You don't you shouldn't be living anymore. These thoughts was happening within my mind. It's sort of the biggest battle took place.
Wow.
And so along the way, I was like, I have to figure out ways to kind of, dispel these thoughts out of my mind. And so I started looking up research um, and new techniques and what to do. But what
Hmm.
I did was though I worked with my specialists along the way. So different therapists and everything. I was working different techniques, but nothing was really resonating with me
Hmm.
until trying trial and error. So what I realized about mindfulness, I had to learn how to be fully present of what I'm doing, where I am, and lastly, not forcing it, rather letting happen it naturally and gradually, building that foundation. So I started to focus on, my physical fitness. I started to work out. So, the best investment you can make this day is within your health or within yourself. So
Yes.
I started, getting a trainer. I started working out. And with that, it allowed me to, you know, dispel a lot of these negative thoughts, a lot of the moments of sadness, because it helped boosting up my confidence, so to speak. It allowed me to express myself to be Jazz Khehra, because I want to be authentic, right, in life,
Yes.
no matter what I do. I want to be authentic, integrous, and be honest, essentially. And so for me was that I started to live the authenticity of me working out. And it was funny. I I look in the mirror. I'm like, oh, I feel so jacked. My grandpa walks by. He's like, when I was your age, I used to do this and that. You know how grandparents are, right? They
Yeah.
make fun
Yeah.
of you all the time, and then
Absolutely.
that motivates me even more to work out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I started focusing on physical fitness, I realized that okay, next what I saw was that my performance got better, my focus got better, my stress was reduced, but there's still I have to focus on, and that's the emotions, right?
Wow.
Starting to identify those emotions of what is sadness, what is happiness, right? And they're all mixed together. And I said to myself, I don't want to mix that anymore. I want to start, separating it. So whatever's happiness, I'm going to tend to follow that. I don't want to follow sadness anymore. And
Yeah.
so that's when I begin to identify my emotions, looking at, what's causing it. Is it my environment? Is it, the certain things I do, my daily habits?
Hmm.
And so from there, I push forward into something I like to call is my social connections. So for
Nice.
1 year, I gave up, no, almost 2 years, I gave up Facebook actually.
Wow.
Yeah, for 2 years, I was addicted to Facebook. I didn't get Instagram until a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
But because of that, I look at my social media connections, who I follow, my connections like with my family, my friends, and how do I, restore integrity and make it better? And which relationships are no longer serving? And then,
Mhm.
once I started implementing it, and it took years. And I know I'm going over this kind of a little faster, but the whole point is that it took years, right, and to implement this. And then, the last phase was spiritual wellness to really connect me with, the big man upstairs, and
Yes.
that's where I started my practice of meditation.
Okay. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So that's incredible because I mean, like, I think that in whatever state we're in, whether it be a mental state, like, from a mindset perspective,
Right.
business perspective, whatever or even like a relationship perspective, we
Right.
kind of have to pull back the curtains and say, what am I feeling right now?
Exactly. Yeah, I
What am
agree.
I
I agree.
what am I feeling, and why am I feeling like this? And
Right.
now how can I now transition to a place where I, I'm I'm able to push towards or go in direction towards the way I want to feel.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
that's important. And I like how what you did, you kind of isolated yourself to find that.
Mhm. Definitely. Because what I find is that it's really important to develop a relationship with yourself. And I think that's one of the most important relationships out there. You know, it's obviously family and friends are important, but when you start to have a relationship with yourself, understand who you are as an individual,
Mhm.
there's such a powerful tool out there. Like, you know, doing this, there's only so much I could say, but you literally are a beacon. And if you are lit, everything around you is lit up as well, right? Because when you shine, everyone else around you begins to shine, and it takes time. But once you do it, it's just incredible, right? It's like the birthday candle. You light one birthday candle, right?
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
that one
yeah,
flame, and you start putting on the other candles.
yeah,
That's what begins to happen. It's a slow, gradual process, but it's everlasting, and that's really hard to.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally understand. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So like tell us like about the journey now, like with Mindfulness University, like how did that all start? So we talked about, isolating yourself, totally, getting rid of social media, kind of indulging in the process of, where do I need to go? What am I feeling? How do I want to feel?
Right.
And you kind of got on that train, and that train was able to bring you to your destination, but you weren't at your destination yet.
Not yet, not yet.
Not yet.
And we're still on our destination, right?
Absolutely.
But their stops now along the way are a lot better. I'll tell you that, right? So, um,
Definitely.
yeah,
Definitely.
I'm not coaching anymore. I'm first class now. I'm getting to first class now.
For nothing less.
Exactly. But um, what I begun to do was that I started to volunteer within the community. I started to volunteer within for CAMH, for instance, right? Helping them raise funds. I'm called a steward now. I think that's my title.
Mhm.
But essentially, I was part of the Millennial Counseling, helping them raise funds um, for CAMH's research initiative,
Can you
which they
let
have.
everybody know what CAMH is? Because there might be people watching may not know what that is.
Yeah, so CAMH is the Canadian Addiction and Mental Health. They're a non-for-profit, so to speak. And what CAMH does is that they essentially do research in the mental health community um, to bring light to um, different ways to treat different areas of mental illness. They also provide services as well for individuals, I believe up until 18, don't quote me on that, and a little bit older as well.
Mhm.
And they have an actual hospital for people to go and seek counseling. Um, think about it as literally a one-stop shop for mental health resources, connecting with professionals, community events, etc.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. So you're,
So,
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So you're volunteering with CAMH, and those of you that are watching, I'm pretty sure, like you may not be in Canada, you might not be in Ontario, but Jazz, from your experience, are there locations like this for people to really go to? If they're going through things like this.
Yes, there's definitely quite a lot available out there. Now, I can't speak to everyone depending on where they are, but I can. What I can say is though that, excuse me, work with your family doctor, your general or GP, general practitioner, to seek out what's available within your local community. What I started to do was I started to Google what's available within my area, and I found out that within my region, there's a lot of services available. It's just a matter of you to go and take those services. So once again, work with your medical health, your healthcare professional to find out what the resources are, but also doing a simple Google search to realize what's within your community. There's quite a lot of services. It just depends on your geography where you're located.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So you were volunteering for this
Yeah.
organization.
So I volunteered for CAMH, and then I started volunteering for another organization called SOCH. which means to think, and they're dedicated towards the um, mental health within the South Asian community. And the reason being is that um, both, you and I chatted last week on the phone, right? Was that there's services that are not geared towards different individuals of various cultures, right?
Yes.
And how we're able to, attest to that, so to speak, and having services that are tailored towards it. That really resonates from like a culture standpoint, especially in Canada. A lot of us are first generation, so we're kind of stuck with what's happening at home, but what's happening outside. So it's like a transition, so to speak. Know what's going to happen in second and third generation, but we just focus on ourselves now. So I started co-leading the men's forum, and we run, monthly community workshops where we have the audience speak and share their experience. Everything's all private, nothing's being shared, but we bring in mental health professionals, people who have gone through this journey, talk about modern masculinity, what it means in 2020 and beyond, prevention, anxiety, being a father, or a mother within during the pandemic. But also we invite everyone, so it doesn't matter who you are, however you self-identify, everyone's invited, and it's a really good discussion. So I started volunteering, and I realized that, okay, you know what, there's a need for this in the community, and I've been doing this for over 10 years now.
Wow.
Getting messages on LinkedIn, getting messages on Instagram saying thank you so much for what you're doing. Want to start Mindfulness University? That's how it blossomed.
Wow, that's powerful. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. It's interesting because where you had initially volunteered, you found your passion was birthed through that, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
And it's amazing because everybody has a unique story. And what I like to tell a lot of people, my clients, when I do work with them, follow the passion. Follow the passion, and usually your story tells where your passion resides.
Definitely, yeah. No, it does.
Right?
It does.
Your story is incredible. So don't ever discount your story, no matter what story you have. Right. I actually was talking to a lady recently, and she's going through so much through her. She's gone through so much through her life, and she has, like, I don't even want to say it online, but I'm not giving out her name, so nobody really knows. But she experienced rape. Yes, she experienced rape as in her earlier years, and she had bottled it up inside for so long and didn't know how to deal with it, And as a result, she wanted to start a coaching practice to help others that have gone through that, right? And nobody talks about that. Yeah, and you're probably listening, like you're probably shocked. The way your eyebrows went up, people that are watching this, their eyebrows are going up as well.
Yeah.
When I heard her story, my eyebrows went up as well. I was like, wow, that's incredible. The fact that you're able to be open and vulnerable to help others. And the thing is, like, with her story, she wants to help others that have been in the same predicament, because it's only years after she was able to get over this, right? And it's extremely powerful how your story can impact others, right? Even no matter how embarrassing it is. And that's a very, like that's an example that I gave that's totally left field, but even though it's left field, it's somebody's life.
It is, yeah.
That's what someone went through.
That's a powerful story. It's like someone took their pain, so to speak, but they took that and made it into something that's gonna not let them impact them, but allow them to empower others around them as well.
Yes.
That's powerful. That's
powerful. Yeah, absolutely. Because even though she feels like she's the only one that's in the situation, she's able to help people.
Right.
She's able to help people that are on the verge of ending their life because of a tragic story. So I just say that to say, no matter who's watching right now, if you're watching live, hashtag live. If you're watching replay, hashtag replay. But if you have a story that is powerful but yet very vulnerable, no, the most powerful stories are the most vulnerable stories.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So if you have a story and you're very vulnerable, don't be afraid to express it. Right. Obviously, there's ways to do it, and I teach that in my program. But don't be afraid to express it. Now, Jazz, you started Mindfulness University. You're on, you volunteered at these organizations, and thank you
Right.
for sharing with all of our listeners of how to actually, get in touch with these people
Right.
using, right? And then from there, you started Mindfulness University. Now, what were the challenges and conflicts, like maybe from a business perspective, maybe from family perspective, maybe from your perspective, along the way of actually starting Mindfulness University?
A lot of it um, boils down to self-doubt. There was tons and tons of self-doubt. Um, and, you know, you hear this all the time, but Dwayne, it's 100% true. Both you and I can, resonate with this, and everyone in the audience as well, is that you are your biggest competition. And that's what I had a lot of problems with when it came to starting up Mindfulness University. I was wondering, is my story powerful enough? Am I going to make an impact? That was the biggest thing. Am I going to make a difference to leave, touch, move, inspire, right, in people's lives?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the the other issue that I struggled with was, what if no one wants this, right? I spent 10 years literally going through this. What if no one wants it, right?
Yeah,
That would really suck. And
yeah.
lastly is like, I don't want to be judged, right? Because, speaking about any topic that's sensitive, it's hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, what would people say? And that was the biggest thing. And
Wow.
so for me, starting Mindfulness University was that, I'm lucky, and I'm gonna shout out his name, Toby. Toby was the one that really, he's a friend of mine. He really pushed me to go for it, and really encouraged me to really, develop the program and do it. He's like, just do it. What's stopping you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Literally. And from there, I went and send out surveys. Um, getting everyone's feedback of what do you think about mindfulness, how much you dedicate towards it, using Google Forms. And then, from there, I was like, okay, you know what, people would actually want to see something like this. Ask them
Wow.
which areas are important for you. And
Can you stick a pin right there?
yeah,
For those of you that are listening, Jazz just did market research before he actually launched his coaching company. He went to the market and he was able to get forms, and the forms gave him data, right?
yep,
So I say that because we don't want to like start something that nobody needs,
right,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
And even though you knew people needed it because you had that problem, you've had that transformation, and now you said, let me see who is going to want to actually get help with this transformation. And
right.
you did market research,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
the reason why I'm saying this and really highlighting it is because a lot of coaches, they may not know about this, whole idea of market research and validating the market before launching, right?
that's
So
right. Right.
I'm so glad you said so. You put together this actual survey, got people interested, and what was the next steps after that?
And during the process, and I have to say it was scary because I sent to friends and family, right? But
Yeah.
I got really valid feedback, which I needed. And then
Wow.
from there, I was like, okay, based upon my respondents, I was able to identify, my target audience, so to speak, um, which I found were males between the ages of 20 to about 45. I'm like, okay, that's a pretty good data set. Um, and I literally went and just created the program from there. So I took the survey data. I was like, hey, what's important for everyone? And we focused on the physical, emotional, social, and spiritual wellness areas.
Hmm.
And from there, I looked at, okay, from my journey, how is everything all connected? And the program, you begin to realize how it's all connected. And throughout there, I was like, you know what? Instead of you doing a bunch of questions and filling out this, like, oh, that could be the answer, let's put that into practice. And so I was like, you know what, one of the things I do have is milestones, and within these milestones is you have to act upon each of the areas of wellness. And so whatever we have in theory, we put into practice, and it's just a small amount of practice. And the reason being is that it pushes individuals to get 1% better, right? What what you started, when people get off and work out for a few days, no, let's spread that out in about 15 to 20 or 30-minute chunks, for instance, right?
Yes.
Let's start small and make that gradual increase. Now, I don't say get immediate results right away. No, we can start a slow, gradual process, right? Slowly get better and better. And so once I designed the program, I'm like, I need to test this. So I did a pilot program, and I launched the pilot program for 6 weeks. We finished up 2 weeks ago, and it was literally scary, but also so exciting. It really empowered me to see that, wow, I'm making a difference with these 4 sets of individuals. It was really powerful.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what was the transformation like that you experienced along the way, right, through doing this? And my next question, and I'll hold off my next question till you answer this one. So what was your transformation along the way that you experienced throughout this journey that you just described?
So my transformation was that I've come to realize that, everyone's transformation of what they set out to be in the beginning of the course is actually something totally different, right? We have covered, a lot of different areas to focus on in life. For myself, what that did for me in turn, and the reason I brought that up was because it empowered me even more, saying like, wow, you actually have something here that, you're able to make a difference in people's life. It's going back to what I said a little bit earlier, was that I don't like seeing people sad, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually saw people happy, and it made me happy,
Wow.
And, Dwayne, it goes back to what you and I talk about and preach is, give with your right hand, expect nothing in the left, right?
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
being in service of others. And because of that transformed me to empower it and really spread this to the mass.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. You have such an incredible story, my friend. Like this is awesome. I'm so excited for you, man. Like this is awesome. This is awesome. So like explain to me like what's your vision for Mindfulness University? Like moving forward, especially in the state of a pandemic.
So, this digital world, digital world has really allowed us to break down a lot of barriers, right? It's kind of like what you mentioned, is moving that curtain, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And it's opened up a lot of channels. So for me, for Mindfulness University, is to essentially start, onboarding people on a month-to-month basis, and from there is to grow this and really develop a platform and a community, essentially, where letting you know that you are not the only one going through this. There's thousands, millions of others, and everyone has your back, quote unquote, right? Everyone is able to help you out, and your story or what you're going through is very similar to what others have gone through, and this is the experience that they shared. So the long-term vision is to develop a platform for everyone to come to the community and literally meet up with others that have gone through this. And eventually being able to take the course itself, so it becomes self-paced, you're able to take it at your own time as well. But that's the goal, is to grow this and to essentially, going back to the term, cliche term, is change the world.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I want to let people know that's watching right here. It's crazy. Like even though we're in the state of a pandemic, I recommend twofold: getting clients and building a business, coaching business, and building a university, building a program, not just focusing on the online, right? But fusing both of them together, like having an online presence as well as having an offline presence, and kind of mixing them and have like a synergistic approach to this.
Definitely.
And ideally, there's limitations when you take things offline, right, in your local area, or even perhaps the time constraints as well, because there's many people different parts of the world.
Right.
The time constraints are there. But I really want to drive home the importance of if we go digital and if we go on, if we're online, if we have a business that's online, we can touch and impact people across the world. Like
Definitely.
there's no limitation as to where your message can be brought to.
Definitely.
It's
Yeah,
incredible.
definitely.
And what's most important is that this message that we're preaching with our coaching business, whether you're a life coach, a health coach, a mental wellness coach, a personal coach that helps people with relationships, or
Right.
even your dream coach, or maybe a career coach, there's other people on the other side of the planet,
Yeah,
right?
they are. Yeah.
So I want people to know, I want you to tell your story of how you were able to actually speak overseas, or you have an engagement to speak overseas. I want people to know about that.
Right, right. Yeah, no, definitely. You know, it's the thing is you have to realize is that there's what 7 billion people in the world, 7 billion
Something
or something
something
like
like
that.
that.
I can't remember how much now, but one of the individuals or one of the person out there, someone has to buy a product, has to buy a service, right?
According to Google, just
Yeah.
Googled this.
Okay.
Quick fact: 7.674 billion people in
Wow.
2019. Yeah, just
Okay.
Google it. Yeah,
So 7.6 billion people. I'll keep it at that. One of them has to buy a product and service, right? And
absolutely.
and you know, throughout um, this time we live now, is that you have the ability to share your message, your story to millions, to start with hundreds, thousands, millions, even billions around the world potentially.
Yeah,
So like you said, like having that online, offline presence, and just using your story as your cape, right?
yeah, absolutely.
It's incredible.
That is. No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, Jazz, I really appreciate you coming on, man. Like, this is
Thank you.
fantastic. I know people, if you're watching this and you're really inspired, I want you to say hashtag me. Like, if you're watching this and you're inspired, just say hashtag me in the comments below. And I want to know if this actually touched you. If you're watching the replay, I want you to hashtag me. If you're watching the live, I want you to hashtag me. Awesome. So, Jazz, I want you to, definitely let the audience know where they can find you, what you got going on. This is, you've given us so much value just in the beginning stages of this interview. So I want you to tell everybody, how can they learn more about you and your program, what you're currently doing.
Definitely. So you can visit us at mindfulnessuniversity.ca. We're going live actually in a few hours or so. So once you see mindfulnessuniversity.ca, you'll be able to take a look at more about what we do, the course, from a high level, the coaching that's involved, and you can follow me on Twitter, which I believe is jazz_Khehra, or even on Instagram as well. So if anything, I'll provide the details to you after.
Nice. That's awesome. And Jazz, one more question before we go. You can make this as long or as short as you want. For those people that are looking to start a coaching business, or they have a coaching business and there's so much obstacles in the way, what is your message to these individuals before we close? And you can make this as long and short as possible. The ball's in your court. I pass you
Oh,
basketball.
all right, thanks.
You gotta catch the ball, bro. You gotta catch
I
it.
got it, bro. I got it.
All right.
I feel like
Oh, there you go.
I feel
There you
like I feel
go.
like I feel like Ray Allen now, right? 2012 Heat. But anyways, what I would have to say is that when you're starting a coaching business, just start. Literally, just start. And the reason I state that is because you're not gonna have all the answers, right? Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. That's where I got stuck for quite a while. Just literally go and do it. And honestly, doing with what you're doing, you are seriously providing that bridge and that gap, because what you're doing out there, you're leaving people transformed. And what I've seen is that you set a foundation for them to follow, right? And you realize that I found success in this. I want to teach you guys how to do, and gals, and however you self-identify, on how to do this. And so my thing is to start. There's a lot of help out there, right? Dwayne You're doing a fantastic job, an
I
amazing
appreciate
job,
it.
brother, right?
I appreciate it.
And individuals should follow your path because you laid out a path for them, right? It's just for you to follow and tweak it. That's for your business.
Yeah.
So, kind of went on a long end tail there, but just start, right? Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. You're not gonna have all the answers. You're gonna figure out along the way, but always have that North Star saying that, I'm gonna launch this business and this is what it is. And all the details will essentially come line. Wayne, honestly, you're the one that's driving this, and seriously, keep it up because you are literally helping out not just hundreds but thousands, and it's gonna be millions. It's gonna be billions, 7.6 billion. Watch.
Exactly. I appreciate that, Jazz. I really
Yeah,
do.
definitely.
Honestly, thanks for the kind words. And that wasn't scripted.
No, I was not scripted at all. Look, my phone's closed. I got nothing here, right? So,
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much again for inspiring other people through your journey. You yourself, like, you have such an incredible story, and the fact that you've been going through like all these hard times, these dark days, these dark nights.
right.
You're now helping people that are going through the exact same thing that you went through, and you're not asking to, like, for you to help people through this journey. It's not like you're trying to help them build a rocket, right? Because you never built a rocket before.
No,
Or
I have
you're not
not.
helping them, right? And you're not helping them build a car, right? Or you're not trying to teach some complicated thing that you don't know. You've been through this.
Yeah.
You've been through this. You've actually had days and nights where you dealt through this, weeks and even years from what you said.
Definitely.
So I'm so appreciative for you to actually just come on here and even share your stories to others that are going through this actual, state in their life. So hashtag me if you definitely if this resonates with you. And not only that, but you're helping others, right? You're helping others go through this transformation, and you've also, within my group here and my community, you're actually inspiring other people. They may not have, issues right now with that they're diagnosed with, but definitely there's a lot of people that are facing uncertain times where there's like, I don't know how this is going to work, analysis paralysis.
Right.
I don't know, my family doesn't support this, my friends don't support this, my husband may not support this, or maybe they do support it and I just don't know. Right? There's so many different variables, but I think we made it clear today that no matter what setback you have, you can push forward.
100%, you can. And you'll 100% prosper. It's gonna keep on trying, right? So.
Absolutely. Well, Jazz, thanks so much. I really appreciate this again, and looking forward to connecting with you further, man.
Thank you, Dwayne. Likewise, appreciate it. And thanks to everyone for the audience. Appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed this interview, whether you're listening on any of our social platforms. Perhaps you're in a Facebook group, perhaps you are listening on one of our podcast platforms. Wherever you're listening, I hope you enjoyed. But do us a favor and leave a positive review, letting us know that you actually enjoyed this and this actually was valuable to you. Whether you're an individual or whether you're an actual coach looking for some guidance, inspiration, we want to know that this podcast is valuable to you so that we can continue to make more and to inspire more people. Hope you have an empowering day and an empowering week. I'll see you in the next episode.